The Raiders add more depth in the linebacker room, claiming Brennan Jackson. Amari Cooper finally arrives in Las Vegas, and the Raiders announce the official practice squad players. Yo, what is up, Raidernation? It's your boy Small Raider, back at it again with yet another video. If this is the very first time you guys are coming across this channel and you love Raiders content just like this, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification icon button. Now, the Raiders made a lot of moves, first claiming linebacker Brennan Jackson from the LA Rams through the waiver wire. Now, Jackson was a 5th round pick by the Rams last year out of Washington State, played in only 7 games last year as a rookie. In that time, he's only racked up 3 total tackles and 1 pass deflection. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I didn't know much about this guy before today. Of course, looking into him, he definitely has a lot of upside and somebody I can see be a rotational piece on the defense side of the ball. And knowing that we need at least some linebacker depth with all the veterans that we do have, I don't think that this is a bad move. And seeing how well he's been playing in the preseason, coming away with 4 total tackles and 3 sacks, definitely has me intrigued. And just watching him, you could definitely see that he has that motor in him. If used correctly, he could possibly be one of the premier pass rushers on this team. Now, I do see him rotating in and out, you know, at the outside linebacker position, but who knows, he could possibly move onto the edge and possibly get a couple of snaps there if need be as a pass rusher. But overall, I think that this is a promising signing for the Raiders, a low risk, high reward type of move, which those are the type of moves that I really do like. And just seeing what he's been able to show makes me a little excited to see what he can do on the team. Now, Jackson most likely won't be coming over here to be a starter, but as a rotational depth piece, definitely. With this recent move, the Raiders are now at 54 players on the roster, so it's going to be interesting to see who the Raiders cut to go back down to that 53. Yo, timeout. So, you know, some breaking news did come out while I was editing this video. Of course, I was wondering who the Raiders would cut, especially with signing Brennan Jackson, but it didn't take too long to find out who that guy would be, because the Raiders officially cut Thayer Munford, offensive tackle. He's been with the team for the past couple of years, and it kind of sucks because I feel like he still has some upside, but it's just taken him so long to really adjust to this new offense, and he hasn't really looked his best during the preseason, especially in this last game where he gave up a sack that caused Aidan O'Connell to get injured. Now, that being said, a lot of people are wondering who the Raiders could bring in to replace him, because we still need some depth on the offensive line, and the Raiders found their guy, I guess, signing Stone Forsythe, who ironically was drafted by Pete Carroll back in 2021 and was recently waived by the New York Giants. Now, of course, this is another guy that I didn't really know too much about, but looking at a lot of the reactions online, it seems like this guy is not really that good. And he does have some upside, but from what he's been showing, especially back when he was at the Seahawks, just isn't that good. And begs the question, did the Raiders do better at this position or not? I don't know. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm always going to give whoever we sign the benefit of the doubt to go out there and show otherwise. And coming over here to Las Vegas, I don't think that he's going to get a lot of PT, but he does provide some depth, and he's still a young player. Now, as long as he doesn't look like this on game days, then we should be all right. In a corresponding move, the Raiders have placed Aidan O'Connell on the injured/reserve list, so he'll be out for the next couple of weeks. All right, with that said, back to the video. That being said, though, speaking of roster moves, of course, the Raiders dropped their final 53-man roster yesterday, and most of the players that we all expected to make the roster made the roster. Of course, there was some surprise cuts, and I know that we were going to just wait today to see who's going to make the practice squad. And before I do talk about the practice squad, I do want to highlight some players that made the team that caught me by surprise. And, you know, kudos to them. First name being Charles Snowden. I'm not saying that it's a surprise, but I'm just happy to see that Charles Snowden has worked his way back into a roster spot, especially with the work that he was able to do during the preseason. Another name, Leki Fotu, barely got to play in the preseason. We got to see him in this last game, but he definitely put his stamp on that game as well. And of course, you know me being a biased Pauly fan, you know, I just love any Toko Usos that join the team. And Leki Fotu, I'm just happy that he snuck his way on the roster. I don't know how long he's gonna be there, but I like it so far. I also got to give a huge shout out to Jamal Adams, because this is a guy that just joined the team right before training camp, and just to see him put his head down and go out there and work and just ball out, not only at training camp but in the games, especially being moved to linebacker, just goes to show how his work ethic is. And I'm just excited to see him go play in the silver and black during the season. And the last name is Dylan Laube. I don't think that he's going to be getting any snaps at running back, but shout out to him for making the roster. Of course, a lot of people have been talking about him in special teams, and that's the main reason why they're keeping him. Not as a running back, because I don't see him getting any snaps unless somebody did get injured, knock on wood. But what he provides in special teams is definitely something to take seriously. Now, outside of all of that, the Raiders finally released their practice squad players. Of course, yesterday there was some overreaction to a lot of people, especially me, because, you know, a certain Oos didn't make the team. But I guess I don't have to worry too much, because first I want to talk about my Ooze, big Ooze, Laki Tassi. The Ooze made it onto the practice squad, and I'm happy. I know a lot of people said don't worry, but you know me, you know, I don't want to take a chance with anything, but I'm just happy that he's on the practice squad right now. He can develop until his time is right, until he can go out there and ball out. I'm just happy that he's here. Outside of that, though, man, the players that made the practice squad: Alex Bachman, Chris Collier, Terrell Edmonds, Jafari Harvey, Cedric Jackson, Matt Jones, Trevor Ma'ai, Antonio Mafi. See, that's what I'm talking about. We brought all the Paulies back on the practice squad, so I'm happy to see Trevor Ma'ai, Antonio Mafi, and Laki Tassi on the team. Most likely gonna get their jerseys just to rock it, you know, gotta look out for the bloodline, yada I mean. Now, Cam Miller got claimed by the Raiders, so that's huge that we got our quarterback back, and he's gonna be out on the practice squad, meaning that the Raiders are going into the season with Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, and Aiden O'Connell, who's gonna be on the IR or pup list, whatever it may be. But outside of that, Albert O at tight end. I love this move. Carter Runyon showed himself. Justin Shorter as well. Like I said earlier, Laki Tassi, Trey Taylor. Shout out to Trey Taylor. I'm happy that he's at least on the team. Greedy Vance, a guy that showed out in preseason, he's going to be on the team as well. Dalton Wagner and JT Woods. Now, some notable names that are not on this list. First is Tommy Mellott. Did not get claimed by the Raiders. I don't know where he's at. He could possibly be with the team right now, or he could still be out there. Who knows? But it's a surprising thing to see that he didn't make the roster. Another player that didn't make the roster that kind of sucks is Sincere McCormick, man. Of course, great dude. And I feel like just given the opportunity, he could do well anywhere. So he signed with the 49ers on their practice squad. So I wish nothing but the best for Sincere McCormick. But outside of that, the names on the list that made the practice squad, man: Alex Bachman, somebody that's been standing out, that's been getting some praise at least, and just been working his way onto a roster, at least just being in the NFL, man. His story is crazy, so just having him there is really good to see. Terrell Edmonds, somebody we just recently signed. He's a guy that has some experience. Cedric Jackson, Bo Jackson's nephew, great nephew, whatever it may be. Having him on the roster, he showed a little bit of what he's been able to do as well. Outside of that, man, this is the Raiders practice squad. I'm happy with it. I think we're good. We brought a lot of players that showed out a little bit throughout preseason and even training camp on to the practice squad. So I'm totally happy by that. Raidernation, let me know your thoughts though. How do you guys feel about the final 53 and even the practice squad players that we did bring back? Let me know down in the comments below. Now moving on, I want to talk a little bit about Amari Cooper coming back to the silver and black. I know I kind of gave you guys how I felt, but we finally got to see him back into the building. And I know that the Raiders announced that he's going to wear number 17, which I was like, damn, that's not really a good number. I was hoping that he was going to ask Brock Bowers for his number 89, but I guess he didn't have to worry about it because the Raiders cut Tommy Mellott, and Amari Cooper was able to just snag that number 19 right before he went out there at practice. So we got to see our first look at Amari Cooper for the first time back in the Raiders facility here in Las Vegas, donning the silver and black yet again. Maybe Amari Cooper and Brock Bowers could just swap numbers. You know, Brock Bowers could rock the number 19 that he rocked back in college, and then Amari Cooper could rock the 89. Who knows? I'm just saying. But, you know, now with Amari Cooper here in Las Vegas, the Raiders now have 6 active Oakland Raiders on the team. Of course, like I said, Amari Cooper, we got Colton Miller, we got Daniel Carlson, Max Crosby, and AJ Cole. That being said, though, we got to hear from Amari Cooper for the first time yesterday as well. And he basically said that, you know, he felt like he let down this team.
I always kind of had that in the back of my mind because, you know, when I was drafted here, I felt like the expectations were high. I felt like I did okay, but I always knew, you know, why I was drafted. You know, you draft a guy at top 5, you know, you expect him to come and, you know, really help change the organization. And, you know, I felt like, you know, at times, you know, I showed flashes of doing that, but it wasn't to my expectations. So, like I said, you know, this time around, I feel like I have unfinished business. I definitely see the opportunity, you know, working with Geno to be able to do some great things. So I'm excited about it.
Now, I do love the fact that he is being humble about it, but I honestly don't think that he let down this team at all. You know, what he's been able to do for the Raiders when he came over here, of course, it wasn't perfect, but He definitely revitalized the offense, especially at the wide receiver position. We haven't had any kind of solid wide receivers, especially to be that #1 weapon for Derek Carr. They gave us a lot of memories, and he broke a lot of records. His time with the Raiders in his career, of course, he spent 4 seasons with us, racking up 225 receptions for 3,183 yards and 19 touchdowns. On top of that, he was a 2-time Pro Bowler. He was the first Raiders rookie to surpass 1,000 yards receiving, and also the first receiver since Randy Moss in 2005 to do so. On top of that, he was one of the most effective receivers in Raiders history up until that point. So even though it didn't end off perfectly, I think that he did what he could for the Raiders at the time. Of course, we had a lot of expectations, and we almost got it done, man, in 2016, of course, until Derek Carr got injured. But, you know, that's besides the point. I'm just happy that he's here. And I know that Cooper had a lot of interest from multiple teams, but the fact that he decided to come back just shows that he wants to come over here and finish some unfinished business. He did say that, you know, Pete Carroll played a huge part in that in coming back. He also did say that he still got some juice left to show the nation, and I hope we get to see some of that juice. You had it on me.
Really just 2 things. 1, winning, and 2, the opportunity to show what I can still do. You know, I had, a few teams hitting me up, but I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to show that I can. Trust me, I still got some juice left, so I want to show it. And I felt like, this was the opportunity for me to show it.
Overall, you guys know how I feel about Amari Cooper. All the nostalgia aside, I do believe that he's a solid receiver at the end of the day for any team. He still has the route running ability, and he does bring that veteran leadership to a young wide receiver room. Now, I know that he's not the same player that he once was, but he's still a reliable playmaker, and at a reasonable 1-year deal with the Raiders at $3.5 million, I think that this is a low risk, high reward for the team. So I don't think that this is a bad move at all for the Raiders. But Raider Nation, let me know, what do you guys think about Amari Cooper? How do you feel about having him back? Until the next video though, Raider Nation, this is your boy Small Raider, and your boy is, yeah.